Yes, it's watching it like so I want this meeting.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Place Council's Policy Voting Committee. This meeting will be held remotely and also in person and will be filmed and recorded for live and subsequent broadcast available through the Council website. The Council is a data controller under General Data Protection Regulations and the Data Protection Act 2019. We broadcast and record Council meetings to fulfil our public task obligation to enable members of the public to observe the democratic process. Data collected during this process will be obtained in accordance with Council public policies and available through the Council website. Members of Council are reminded that they should follow the Council's established meeting protocols, including around the use of the chat facility, and the comments made in the chat facility are also visible to all participants in this meeting, which may include members of the public who also received invites to this meeting. Thank you. Item 1 is apologies substitute declaration of interest.
Convener, we have apologies from Councillor Armstrong to be substituted by Councillor Reynolds. Apologies from Councillor Curley to be substituted by Councillor Daisley. And also apologies from Councillor Robertson to be substituted by Councillor Crowder. So we'll move to a roll call. Can the following councillors please indicate if they're present at the meeting? Councillor Brooks.
In chamber.
Councillor Crowder.
Present in chamber.
Councillor Daisley.
Present remotely.
Councillor Jackson.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Law. Councillor McKay.
Present chamber.
Councillor McCormick.
Present remotely.
Councillor Maguire.
Present.
Councillor McVeigh.
In chamber.
Councillor Moran.
In the chamber.
Councillor Reynolds.
Present remotely.
Are there any declarations of interest?
Yes, I have one.
Councillor Wire.
Yep, I need to declare an interest. My church is part of a scheme that applies for the Warm Hands of Friendship. I don't apply for it personally, it's the church that applies for it, but I'm somebody who volunteers in the capacity where that funding is then used for the benefit of the community. I don't think this precludes me from sitting on this item because I have no financial decision making as part of that organisation for the Warm Hands of Friendship money.
Thank you. Yeah. That's why I think declare interest with them in the churches. One man's a venture. Very well, point to declare interest. No? Okay. Okay, happy with that. We're going to item 2, which is the policy posted revenue budget and general fund revenue budget update. David.
Thank you, Leader. This is the regular report to update committee on the performance of those revenue budget items reporting to this committee and the overall performance of the general fund revenue budget for the council. In relation to the policy and resources services, the report highlights a projected underspend of £2.534 million against a revised budget of £2.554. This is a minor £11,000 movement from the previous report and is in relation to a number of items previously discussed by committee. Council on 5th March agreed to earmark £2.08 million of this underspend to support future loan charge pressures. Across the general fund, excluding health and social care, an overall underspend of £1.137 million is currently forecast. This is a movement of £35,000 from the previous report. Following the approved earmarking and inclusion of decisions at the March budget setting meeting, the forecast general fund revenue reserve position is highlighted at Appendix 8 as £5.053 million at 31st March 2026, compared to a minimum recommended balance of £4 million. In terms of the common good, a minor surplus of £14,790 has been reported due to improved rental projections, with a projected balance of £155,900 highlighted after the utilisation of funds to support the Port Glasgow 250th anniversary. Appendix 8 of the report highlights the progress made against the workstream savings, and this shows a projected shortfall of £181,000 for 25-26, which has been rephased for delivery in 26-27. It's recommended that the committee note the projected positions as set out in the report, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, David. Any questions for David? Councillor Vane?
Thank you, convener. Looking at 3.5 year VAT reserves, commentary saying that the transactions for social year VAT reserves will be quantified during the year-end preparation of the financial statements. Now we got that information very, very late this year. So I'm wondering, in the days of digital technology and finance systems, why we would get, or can maybe explain why it would take so long that we couldn't see that information before we get to very close to finalising the budget.
Yeah, in terms of the map reserves position, that was updated for information that came in as part of the local government finance settlement, which only became apparent during January and was confirmed late into February. So it was only during the budget discussions that we had full information on the projected reserves spend, or the non-use of the reserves, as it were. In terms of the year end, there's a number of technical transactions that happen and only become apparent and quantified during April and May. So it's only during the finalisation of the annual accounts that we can confirm the final figure that's on the general fund reserve.
Yep. So just for clarification, the £2 million we were told about just maybe the week or two before the finalising the budget. This is the same money we're talking about here. Is that a different issue we're talking about? Because I just need some clarity on that.
Again, through your convener, yes, this is the same amount. So the amount that was clarified and confirmed in time for the member budget working group was £2.08 million, and we're now reporting an underspend of £2.5 million. So it's increased through the transaction that became apparent during March and the early April.
Okay, but having that money, having known that previously, members may have taken a different view on the budget, or may not have, whatever the case may be. It was a surplus. Now I remember maybe 3 or 4 years ago there was a deficit of 1.2 million, roughly, I think. Again, come in very, very late. So is there a case, or would you agree, or do you have any thoughts on should that item be on the risk register? And if not, why not? Because it can influence the budget positively or negatively.
Again, through your convener, so we already have the budget process and the budget gap on the risk register. Unfortunately, due to the timing of the Scottish Government budget this year, we didn't have confirmation of funds until very late. We also have indications throughout the year of projections, which are based on the best information available to the services. So within a particular area, for example, education, we haven't. We mainly had information that there was going to be on target in terms of post-fill, and it was only later on in the year that became apparent that some of those vacancies had existed for longer, and therefore the money wasn't going to be fully spent during the year. So part of the budget process is that we bring 5 reports across the year to members, and we provide the best forecast available on the information available at that time. But when there are delays in filling vacancies, or additional funding which is not confirmed until very late in the financial year, it wouldn't be appropriate for us to bring forward a forecast that we couldn't have any confidence of.
No, I absolutely accept you presented the figures as you have them before, but my worry is, or my concern is, if this is doing a £2 million deficit, we had discovered then that would have created problems. So my thinking is, should that be on the risk register? But I'm happy to be guided by officers, but it is a concern, Mr. Convener. Thanks.
Councillor Reynolds and then Councillor Curler. Sandra?
Thank you. Just a quick question. On page 3, 3.3F, a projected overspend of 29,000 for expenses one-off. Just to ask, is this continuing into 26-27? Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure, you can be no, the understanding at the moment is that these are just one-off legal expenses that came up during the year. And although there may be some minor expenses forecast into the new year, there's nothing of note that's been reported at this point in time.
All right, Sandra?
Yep, okay, that's fine. It's just whether that amount was continuing into next year, or is that's that finished?
Just again, for you can do it should be finished, complete at that point.
Hear that, Sandra, we're finished.
Yep, thank you, convener.
Okay, thank you. John?
Thank you, convener. I welcome that there's a small surplus in the Common Good Fund, and if I look at Appendix 5 on page 11, I note that there is no administration cost in respect of what used to be the annual firework display at the Battery Park. So would I be correct in saying that the surplus is due in part to not having that firework display, and is that intended to be a year-on-year saving?
I'm afraid I don't have any information in relation to that. That's not an item I'm aware of. I would need to look into that and come back to you on that.
Okay, that's finished, lovely, thank you.
Yeah, just to respond to that point, the council took the decision as part of a budget process. It wasn't the last budget process to not progress an annual fireworks display, and that obviously results in that expenditure not being incurred. In terms of the surplus and the Common Good Fund, the intention is to maintain a balance of circa £100,000. It's now £155,000. And I've certainly had discussions with officers about looking at how we potentially use that £55,000 to improve the assets that are within the ownership of the Common Good Fund, with a view to generating more rental income from that. And officers will be looking at as part, particularly of the Port Glasgow Town Centre strategy.
John?
That's fine, thank you. That's a very, very welcome response, and there's no need to follow that up. That's fine, thank you.
Anybody else? Thanks. Going, any recommendation report?
Agreed.
Good, right. Number 3, the Falls Association capital budget and council capital programme. Again, Dave, to talk us through that. David.
Thank you, convener. So this is the regular report on the performance of the Policy and Resources Capital Programme and the overall council capital programme for the year. The Policy and Resources Programme is reporting a projected spend of £603,000 with slippage of £1.011 million. This is mainly due to contingencies which will not be required in the current year, but will be still available in future years of the programme. The overall council programme is reporting an overcommitment of £1.677 million, which is 1.6% and is well within the 5% planning allowance. Overall slippage in the programme has reduced to £639,000, and this has been mainly due to the advancement in relation to the new Health and Social Care Partnership Community Hub. The programme is within targets and remains affordable based on current estimates, and it's recommended that the committee note the projected positions as set out in the report. I have to take questions.
Thank you. Anybody, any question on the capital programme? You?
Just a comment rather than a question. Mr. Fox mentioned the new community hub. It's been built in Bracken's Street, and it's great to know that that is now complete and we're in the process of getting ready to open it for service users. It'll be a fantastic facility. Myself and Councillor McGuire did have an opportunity to visit during the sort of later stages of the construction phase, and I think it will be a fantastic asset for the community, and obviously particularly for adults who have additional support needs. And I'm sure at some point elected members will maybe get a visit to see what we've got for our £10–11 million, but it certainly is a very important asset for the community, and those who will be using it will find it very good.
Thanks. Well, somebody's having a cold, January, wet day. I dug the first bed, so I'm glad they should come to pressure. I'm looking forward to seeing the thing started. Yeah. Okay, we give you recommendations on the capital, right? Thank you. Number 4 is the finance service update. Again, Mr Forbes, David.
Thank you again, Convener. So this is the regular report on the operation of the various services within finance. Within non-domestic rates, following some legislative changes and the provisions within the 26-27 local finance settlement, the non-domestic rates relief policy has been updated. The revised policy is attached to Appendix 1 with a summary of the main changes at Appendix 2 to the report. The report also notes the performance of the Scottish Welfare Fund, which has provided 828 community care grants, valued at £690,000, and 1,769 crisis grants valued at £248,000 over the year. In relation to discretionary housing payments, the report notes that £1.619 million has been awarded to support 1,983 households across Inverclyde. Council tax collection remains solid, although slightly down on previous years. And finally, the report notes that Gillian McConaughey has now assumed the role of Chief Internal Auditor on a shared basis across East Dumbarton, West Dumbarton and Inverclyde councils. Committee is asked to note the various updates and approve the revised non-domestic rates relief policy as attached. And take questions.
Councillor Maguire. Yes.
Hello.
Natasha.
Thank you, Convener. Not so much a question as just to highlight the council tax SMS messaging. I think this is a real good example of why sometimes digitising things can be a good outcome for us. I think the fact that 900 accounts were paid within a few days, I don't think any of us could have predicted quite as high a number as that. So I think it's just to say thank you to whoever helped implement that system, because ultimately that is the sort of forward-thinking digital movement that we're needing. It's not AI, it's it's back to basics, it's text messaging, but it's great to see that there's been such a outcome from that. So just wanted to thank the people that were working on that for us.
Thank you, David. I think talk about the text messages.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a very successful system, and obviously we look forward to rolling that out throughout the coming year. And hopefully we'll be able to keep the costs down and improve the council tax collection through this and other similar means.
Here.
Okay. Councillor Reynolds, Sandra.
Thanks, Chair. Just one comment and one question. First of all, page 27, 3.11, the increase in the application approval rate to 86 from 80, just to say that's very welcome. And my question is on 3.23, the FMS replacement system. It says that it's currently in use within the one that's mentioned, currently in use within 4 local authorities and a range of other public sector bodies. It might be useful for us to know which local authorities, if that's possible, are they a similar size? Other local authorities, have they already upgraded? There's other public sector bodies mentioned. It might be useful to know, if possible, again, which ones they could be. Okay, thank you.
Thanks for that. I don't have a complete list of the councils to hand, but I'll certainly circulate that to members. There's, as it says, 4 local authorities, Scottish Fire and Rescue, and a few other public sector bodies across Scotland are already using this system. But I'll circulate a full list.
Okay, Councillor Reynolds.
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Councillor Kerr, McCabe, and then Jackson.
That's right, thank you, Convener. It's really just a comment, and that's on section 3.26 on page 28, and it's the Internal Audit Service. It's just to say that this issue was actually raised at the Audit Committee, and while there was initial concerns about the role of the Chief Internal Auditor taking over 3 local authorities being too large, after discussions had taken place, the members in that attendance at it can actually see the benefits that Inverclyde Council can see from such an arrangement. That's me, thank you.
That's right. Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, a couple of questions, Convener. The first one's on non-domestic rates relief. I mean, our policy obviously has to reflect legislation. I mean, reading this, it's very complicated. complex, to be perfectly honest, and that then reflects in the policy being quite complex. So it would be useful to understand how, I suppose, we make it easy, or as easy as possible, for businesses to actually access the reliefs that they would be entitled to. And the second question is around the annual disclosure. So obviously we've set target dates of 30th of June for the draft accounts and 30th of September, 30th of September for the full final accounts being approved. Are you confident that those dates can be achieved?
Through you, Convener. So in terms of the non-domestic rates relief, obviously we respond to the changes that come through the legislation and through the local government finance segment. This year that's been primarily in relation to retail, hospitality and leisure reliefs, which are granted automatically. So there shouldn't be an application process, or certainly should be a full application process in those, which allows us to get the reliefs out to the targeted businesses much quicker. We then also have the transitional relief, which is obviously that falls off the back of the revaluation, and that takes a bit more time and a bit more work to get that in. So we do try to put as much information onto the website as possible and to streamline the forms of paperwork that are being used. In terms of the annual accounts, we are currently working on finalising the accounts. Our target for handover to the external auditor is the 30th of June, and we are confident that we will be able to achieve that. In terms of the external auditors, they have presented their annual audit plan and have committed to delivering an audit report by the end of September target date. But obviously they had the same thing in their plans in previous years and failed to do it, so we need to monitor and manage that situation across the course of the summer.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, thanks, Convener. David, it's just on the Scottish Welfare Fund and the Scottish Government guidance for extra payments. I see that there's for 25-26 there was a deficit of 182,000, and we're expecting in 26-27 a deficit of 500,000. So it's more of a question: do we get to claw that money back because it's been driven by a Scottish Government guidance, or do we got to pay for that?
Through you, Convener. The short answer is no. Scottish Welfare Fund, we receive an allocation through the local government finance segment, and if the council chooses to spend more than that and supplement that budget, which we have historically, then that's a decision of our council, and we spend that money from the rest of our budget. The only area where we are guaranteed to get money back is in relation to the DHP, and then only in relation to the bedroom tax and the benefits cap. That's the only areas where we're guaranteed to get any spend back from Scottish Government. All of that, the budgets are as set at the start of the year.
I just so this guidance, this is really just guidance which the council is following. Do we need to follow this guidance? This is a decision by the council to follow this guidance. I mean, it's not in statute, it's not been written.
Again, through you, Convener. So yeah, there's guidance from the Scottish Government on the basic parameters for the Scottish Welfare Fund, but it is within the council's gift to set gatekeeping on that, and we manage that and make sure that we target the limited funds towards the most deserving cases that come forward with our applications. And obviously there could come a position where the applications far outweigh the money available, and that would often have to be brought back to council for a decision on whether or not funds are going to be made available in those cases.
Okay, thank you.
Just to follow that up from there, so essentially we spend more money than we get from the government because we are more generous than we need to be in terms of the government guidance. So basically we pay more people money and higher rates of funding than we would otherwise do if we were absolutely just restricting it to the amount of money we get from the Scottish Government.
In short, yes.
Any more questions? Okay. Recommendations. I think it's up to number 5, which is the corporate policy update, and you have board up today.
Thanks, Convener. Corporate Policy Performance Update Report is considered at every meeting of the Policy Resources Committee. This latest report includes updates on strategic planning, national developments relating to Scotland Improvement Service Transformation Programme, and the development of a new publications library. On strategic planning, new committee delivery and improvement plans for 26-28 have recently been approved by the Education and Community Committee and the Environment and Regeneration Committee. The equivalent report for policy and resources will be considered later in this meeting. Secondly, the Solace Improvement Service Transformation Programme is supporting all councils in Scotland in an ambitious reform programme. A new Duties and Powers portal has been launched. This is a national resource that brings together for the first time a single shared live view of the duties and powers held by local authorities in Scotland. A new national framework for self-evaluation has also been developed. Inverclyde Council already has a robust approach to self-evaluation in place, evidenced by a range of corporate self-assessment activity in recent years. As the framework is rolled out, we will consider relevant learning to be implemented locally. And finally, work is ongoing to improve access to council policies, strategies and plans on the website via a new publications library. As well as bringing together these documents in one place to make it easier for the public to locate, it also improves accessibility so that people with disabilities can access this information without encountering barriers. Happy to take any questions.
John?
Thank you, convener. I just noticed there in page 81 under slippage, that's 3.8, and the third bullet point, the development of social media strategy. Now, I know that the council already. Pardon? Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll just. It's okay then. Okay, I'll be ahead of myself here. But it's quite easy done, so it is, and just flicking through. So I apologize on that.
You'll get your opportunity.
Okay, if you're quite happy, then I'll just go ahead right just now. And
No, John. No, wait till the bring the agenda right up. Okay, that's okay.
Okay.
We only get meetings. See on 311, I'll just bring up, I was told anyway, it's one image to recommit to the career project, but I was told we never left it anyway, you know, we just recommit to working at. So I just want to make that clear to people, we were always in career, we never left it at any time. No, maybe it's just a formal recommitment to it, you know.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, we agree the recommendation, that one.
Great.
So on to number 6, which is the Falls Resources Committee Delivery Improvement Plan and Performance Summary. Dave.
Thank you, Peter. So this report provides an update on progress in delivering the 23-26 Policy and Resources Committee Delivery and Improvement Plan, which is attached to Appendix 1, and then presents the new plan for the period 2026 through to 2028, which is attached at Appendix 2. So this is the third and final year of the 23-26 plan, and this report provides an update on the overall progress that has been made in delivering the plan to the end of March 2026. A comprehensive report providing full details of the progress made in delivering the plan was previously presented to committee in March, and this report provides just a summary of the overall progress that's been achieved over the full span of the plan. The new plan for 26-28 focuses on the areas of strategic importance that support the achievement of the council plan outcomes and includes ongoing actions carried forward from the 23-26 plan, along with new areas of focus. In addition to the established KPIs, performance of 4 new KPIs will also be reported going forward. A full review of the risk register has been carried out, and 3 risks from the corporate risk register have been added to the Policy and Resources risk register in relation to the threat of cyber attacks, information governance and digital readiness. The committee is asked to note the progress made in delivering the 23-26 plan, approve the new Policy and Resources Committee Delivery and Improvement Plan for 26-28, and note that performance reports will be presented to every second meeting of this committee. And take questions.
first of all, apologies, convener. I see what I have done. I put markers on each of the pages for quick reference, and because the other paper was small, I've actually pulled over 2 rather than 1. So is that, if I can be excused on that, that was the the reason behind that. I didn't actually notice when I done that. Apologies. But anyway, it's just to do with the completed actions on 3.8, and if we move on to the slippage on page 81, the third bullet point is to develop a social media strategy. Now, the social media strategy, I am aware that the council currently does have a media and social media protocol that can be downloaded from the council's website. And if you look at page 95 under the media and social media protocol again, it states that the revised media and social media protocol will be developed from the social media audit. And I was just wondering if there is any major changes to that, or is it all just minor changes?
Through you, convener. The social media audit draft report has been prepared and will hopefully go to CMT in the very near future. In terms of any actions that will come from that, they've still to be decided in terms of any impact on the actual protocol itself. But from first glance, it looks like they will be minor because most of the media protocol itself is to do with media rather than social media. However, we will look and see if there's anything we can carry forward.
Okay, that's fine, thank you.
Right, John? Stephen?
Yeah, it's a question for the chief executive. In terms of the current plan, it'd be useful to get his views as to whether he's satisfied with the progress in the current plan. And with regard to the new plan, is he confident that we have the capacity to deliver the new plan within the timescales that are set out in it?
Through you, convener. Recognising there are a number of items which have had slippage and there's always room for improvement. But generally I am satisfied with the progress in terms of that action plan going forward. There are challenging targets in there, and recognising those challenging targets, but they are stretch targets. We're putting them in with a view to trying to achieve them. We really put them in the next way well with the plan to achieve them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. After the recognition report.
Agreed.
Number 7, the anti-poverty initiative by Mr. Scott.
For yourself, convener, and thanks so much. The purpose of the report is to seek agreement to allocate funds to several anti-poverty initiatives through the EMAG reserves. Section 3 of the report gives you an update where what's previously been agreed at committee for the funds, and then also within the appendix, and appendix a breakdown of the actual funding that's been allocated. Section 4 of the report gives you an update of the current initiatives going on. Section 5 of the report gives you proposals in the report to take forward new initiatives, some who have previously been with us to continue. I'm asking for approval for the following. Notes the updates of the anti-poverty initiatives, agrees to allocate up to 40,000 per year, in total 80,000 in total to contain provision of a food pantry at Grey Road until March 28. Allocates £45,000 to ensure that the summer play scheme remains free to all for 26 and 27. Allocates 66,000 to refurbish the laundry at Up Mountain Road 10. Allocates 140,000 to continue One Hands Off Friendship initiatives to summer of 2028. Allocates £20,000 to enhance the work of the Duke of Edinburgh offer to young people who live in the SMID areas. I also ask committee to note that the development of the Implicated approach to tackle child poverty and the possible funding government ending in March 27 through the initiatives at Grey Road and Bogglestone. And I'm happy to take any questions on the report.
Yeah, obviously welcome these proposals that are being brought forward and informed by obviously the anti-poverty group. I mean, these are, I suppose, more general initiatives that are open essentially to everybody, but I think that's important in some circumstances to have universal provision that everybody can benefit from than necessarily only targeted provision. So I do welcome that, and I do welcome the other initiatives that we've mentioned in the report. But it's mentioned in the report that if we approve these allocations today, and I hope, well, approve these allocations, there's still a balance of £312,000 in the fund, and I suppose essentially we were looking for this fund to be spent by the end of this council term, which is fast approaching. So it'd be useful to know if the anti-poverty group are looking at other initiatives that may be the subject of further reports in the coming months.
For yourself, Convener. Yeah, we're still looking at it. The group meets regularly to look at any new initiatives coming on. And obviously, the benefit at the moment, because of the money that we've got the government, is really helping us spending the initiatives that we'd probably spend on. As you see within the report, that's due to end in 27 at the moment, but we're also having discussions with the government about that, about the future of that funding. So, but we are looking at, and we meet regularly, it's chaired by obviously Mr. Pugh, and we'll take that forward and try and spend that money as best we can in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Maguire, aye. Councillor Maguire, Natasha.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks, Chair. I was going to ask a similar question to Stephen about spending all the money, but I was also going to raise two other points. There's a lot of good work that's going on within this report. It's sad that we still have a need for schemes like this, but it's important that we as a council continue to support those who need help the most. And some of these schemes will really help reduce social isolation, increase the amount of money people have got in their pockets at home, and will help provide people with food and summer activities for children as well. So across the piece, it's a lot of good work here. I just wanted to highlight in particular Grave Road Pantry, that I really welcome this being brought before committee today, and that kind of longevity that will be built in by approving this up until March 2028. So I approve that. I'm thankful for that, because I know a lot of local people, both within Ward 7 and beyond, that benefit from this pantry, and same with the Port Glasgow pantry as well. I know that lots of local people benefit from that. And then secondly, I just want to highlight the Duke of Edinburgh's award. Last year it was up on as one of the budget cuts, and it's something that I think we really do great as part of Inverclyde Council. As this Duke of Edinburgh award, we've got a hard-working team and a hard-working group of volunteers. So to see this £20,000 being put forward for this, to make sure that our young people who might not have this opportunity can continue to benefit from that, is really fantastic. And I know that we punch above our weight nationally when it comes to the Duke of Edinburgh scheme, where it makes a difference to so many young people's lives. So more comments than anything else, but thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Councillor.
I say thank you, Convener. Again, I was going to mention, first of all, I welcome this report, and I was just going to focus on the I noticed that Councillor Maguire has mentioned that. The only thing I could actually add to that is that as a ward councillor, I have actually visited the pantry, as indeed have the other ward councillors, just to see the excellent work that's been done there. Also, I note that among the kind of catchment area for the pantry is Upper Beaufort Farm, which is the second highest SIMD rating in Inverclyde. And I was just wondering, as Councillor McCabe had mentioned there about extra funding still to be used, if the SIMD ratings would be taken into account when any other areas are targeted. Thank you.
For yourself, Convener, we look at everything, and obviously the key thing for us is to look at what's the worthwhile project that's going to have an impact. So we take everything into consideration. The SMID's facts, and obviously the number of young people or children living in the poverty in these areas. So we're open to anything, but it needs to be a meaningful way of action that we can take something forward.
Okay, that's fine, thank you.
Councillor Brooks, and then Councillor McCormick.
Yeah, thanks very much, David. It's just for the Duke of Edinburgh, for some clarity on the figures. We're supporting it 100%, obviously. But between 4.8 and 5.10, I was trying to work out if the 415 young people are the total young people supported. The opening paragraph talks about this money is for the most deprived SMID. It goes on to say that there's 415. So dividing 415, it's only £48, so it's nothing. Obviously, 5.10 gives us the fuller picture of this is additional money on top of the 4K. So I'm just trying to clarify, is 410 the SMID hospital that were supporting free, or is that the total number that participated previously?
For yourself, Convener, the 410 is the areas that we're working across the SMID, and that's across bronze, silver and gold. On the overall books, the one for Duke of Edinburgh probably talk about 700 because there's over a number of years, because you do your bronze, silver and gold, so it takes you a long time to do that. But primarily what we're doing with this money that we get for that to support working in these areas is bronze and silver.
That's helpful, thanks very much.
Councillor McCormick.
Thanks very much, Robert. No, just to thank you and the team for the report. What would be disappointed if I didn't mention Oak Mountain Resource Centre. I'm absolutely delighted that the 24-year-old wash machines are going to be replaced up there, and also particularly happy to see that we're ensuring that summer play games remain free for all the kids in Inverclyde in 26 and 27. So well done, good initiatives. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Michael. Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, thanks, convener. It's just to say, it's just a comment. Let everybody else welcome this report. We touched on the Scottish Welfare Fund earlier. We talked about this council's commitment to trying to tackle poverty by providing additional funds. And again, this report highlights how committed this council is to fighting poverty within our communities. When you look at the background, the financial background that we're facing year on year, we can still find money from the Anti-Poverty Fund to fund all these great initiatives. So it's just to thank everybody, Choose team and everybody else involved in this, because this council, I believe, are really leading the way in tackling poverty with all these initiatives. So it's just to comment, community.
I'd like to say, the War Hands of Friendship is a big success story. Let's not think of selfish. When I've got yourself, and there's other people come now to look at it and try and copy it to what I've done it with. And it's not a great deal of money, but it makes such a difference to people's lives. So I want to thank you for that. Also, I think on the Duke of Edinburgh, we should watch it the bottom 3 lines. The currently 40k per annum relative to the scheme for 26-27 and 27-8. To ensure that the service remains free. That's the crucial thing to me. Remains free to all participants. An additional 20k reflects increased costs for employment. But that is the main thing to me. Ensure the service remains free to all of them. And when I was at the board, you yourself, the guy was true from Edinburgh, he didn't blown away with everything. It's an be put talk about away. But there's Duke Edinburgh's what to do with music, most things. So I think it's a very good report, and they show you can get for no one's attendance, So you agree with the report, the recommendations? Okay, that brings on number 8, and it's the visitor levy update. Neil?
Thank you, convener.
Councillor Maguire, you got a question?
No, I'll put it up for after Neil introduces this. Sorry.
Just one in first, okay. Right, Neil.
Thank you. So this report is a follow-on to the report that this committee considered in November last year. It's a further update on the implementation of the visitor levy nationally, and with an Inverclyde lens on it, obviously. The last committee report in November asked for officers to come back with potential scoping of costs to operate the system, potential income generation, and some indication of engagement with the business case regarding the proposition of a visitor levy. So the report provides details on all 3 of those, and I'll go through those in just some headline details, obviously, with the report detailing with you. So in terms of the potential cost of a visitor levy, the last report advised that there's a national platform being launched, and this this time the updates providing confirmation that there was a launch of the platform in April this year. The costs aren't fully known yet, but further detail is known about it, and the indication is to be about £60,000 to £80,000 to set up the scheme to launch with the platform, and about £122,000 per annum, depending on the number of authorities that sign up. There's no accounting for staffing and other overhead costs and that, so it'd likely be slightly higher than that. In terms of potential income generation, there is some modelling based on the number of bedrooms in Inverclyde that would be eligible for levy, so that's 178 rooms, inclusive of hotels, B&Bs, etc. It doesn't include caravan sites because we don't have clear data on that, but we understand there's only one caravan site that would be included in that. So there'd be a slight uplift in the figures presented in Table 3.5. However, Table 3.5 provides a scale of 2.55% and 7.5% levy. The indication here is that it potentially wouldn't be viable at the lower level of that, and the costs aren't stable enough to have a clear understanding of the profitability of 5 and 7.5% levies. I would advise that recent changes to legislation have meant that the authorities can now charge or start the process to charge a flat rate rather than a percentage, but no authority in Scotland has yet done that. In terms of engagement, there has been a limited amount of engagement, and the basis for that is that any authority wishing to follow through with the levy has to do pre-engagement. There's some early feedback which has indicated opposition from the business base, but that would need to be solidified with a full detailed consultation if any progress was to be made. Officer's recommendation in the report is to maintain a watching brief on the situation and look at how it's rolled out across Scotland to determine whether there's a stabilisation of the cost indication, etc., and report back to committee if there's any further change in that makes it viable or worthy of consideration by members. Just as a final closing point, just to clarify that this is all related to the visitor levy, for which there's national legislative provisions. The cruise ship levy is a separate proposition. It was consulted on by previous administration of the Scottish Government, and the Council responded, but has not been brought further forward. I'm happy to take any questions on the report.
Thank you, Neil. Councillor Reynolds, Sandra Reynolds.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Neil, for that. It's clarified a few things that I was going to ask about. So very briefly then, there's going to be a watching brief is contained, and you did mention, the visitor levy being a flat rate, and no council in Scotland has implemented or are any considering that. I mean, that's what happens on the continent, and that's different for maybe a big city or a small town. For instance, in Barcelona last year, it was €90 for 9 nights, but last week in Portugal, it was €1 per person, or adult actually, for a maximum of 7 days. So is it worth keeping that as part of the watching brief? It seems to me that that's an easier and more simple way of implementing it. But I understand that, that if you have to do the figures for that to see if it is viable or not. Thank you.
Neil.
Thank you, through you, Convener. Yeah, to put it short, yes, we will consider that as part of the ongoing monitoring. The flat rate provisions are so recent that no authority has had the opportunity to run through the regulations to be able to implement that. We'll see whether any do in turn implement that or not, and whether that affects the kind of viability level of it. I would say, obviously, if you set a flat rate, it might be that it's there's more control over a small authority like Inverclyde, so it could be advantageous, but we would just continue to keep that under monitoring and see what nationally the picture looks like. From intelligence so far, I'm not aware of any that are thinking of flipping the advanced position that they've reached into a flat rate provision, but we again can provide further update on that in due course.
Okay.
Thanks, Neil. Yeah, it just seems to me that a flat rate's much, much easier if it was viable rather than mucking around with percentages all over the place. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that the Scottish Parliament passed additional legislation to allow a flat rate to be levied was a reflection of the fact that the Scottish Parliament got it wrong when it first debated this particular issue, because there was a proposal to have a flat rate and they rejected it. That was principally the position, I think, of some local authorities. I certainly welcome the report. I think the jury is out, and I think it is important that we do maintain a watching brief, but maintaining a watching brief doesn't mean we kick this into the long grass. It's that we get a full report, and probably within the next 12 months, or certainly into the start of the new council. I wasn't sure whether, in a sense, this was ever going to be viable for us in Inverclyde because of the potential cost of administering it. But if you do look at the higher rate figures, then it potentially is viable, and it would generate an inconsiderable sum of money in the context of Inverclyde. I mean, we're not going to raise the millions and millions of pounds that Edinburgh and Glasgow are going to raise, 10 million, I suppose, in the context of Edinburgh probably. After cost, it might be, depending on rate, it could be £500,000 a year, but £500,000 a year in the context of significant financial challenges we're facing is not inconsiderable, and is a significant sum of money to actually help us address the issues around the tourist offer that we can make. I am mindful of the views of the limited business community that's been consulted, and they obviously see there as potentially an issue if we were to introduce it and neighbouring authorities weren't to introduce it. There could be an impact in their competitiveness. I'm not so sure about that, but I think it's certainly an issue that needs to be addressed at some point if we progress, obviously, to a formal consultation. I don't think we're ready for that, and I think it is. Let's see how this works out in other authorities and come back to it at some point, as I said, within a reasonable timescale. And I know that Neil has made the point quite clearly in the report that this is not about the cruise ship levy, because we don't want the Telegraph getting confused again. That it isn't about the cruise ship levy, this is about the overnight visit levy. But I don't think we should forget about the cruise ship levy. I certainly at the national level have been very much pushing for COSLA to push the government to legislate to allow councils the option of levying a cruise ship levy. And that's what we're talking about. It's an option to levy. As the overnight visitor levy is, councils have the power, but you don't use that power. And I would hope that everybody believes that councils should have that power, and then make a decision, look through a very similar process to the overnight visitor levy as to whether we would actually implement that. And it was disappointing that the previous Scottish Government basically delayed the publication of their consultation results until the point where there wasn't time to bring forward legislation. I would hope that the new Scottish Government will bring forward legislation within the next legislative programme, part of the programme for government, to legislate for this. And I know that the local MSP is on record as saying he supports the introduction of a cruise ship levy, so I hope he'll be pushing that. And I certainly was pushing it at COSLA leaders on Friday, and COSLA will continue to push it, because I think the administrative costs of a cruise ship levy would be significantly less than an overnight visitor levy, and we could again generate a reasonable amount of money that we could use to improve our tourist offer and to keep more of those cruise ship visitors in Inverclyde. We've seen them in recent days walking about the town centre. When I was coming in here earlier on, I've seen people walking about Clyde Square and going into Cowan's Corner. So we do know that there are cruise ship visitors who are staying in the town. We want to keep more of those in the town, because obviously we regularly see them crossing Dalrymple Street to go to the Greenock Central Station to go on a train and go elsewhere. And we obviously know people getting taxis on buses to go elsewhere. And if we really, because we've got very, very limited funding available to invest in tourist initiatives, if we want to expand the tourist pound in Inverclyde and supporting local jobs and businesses, we need to invest. And I think this would be a crucial source of money to invest in tourism in the area and keep more of those. And I know that the company who are running the cruise terminal have got ambitious expansion plans. They're wanting to get us up to 400,000 passengers a year coming to Inverclyde. And if we're going to get to that point, we absolutely want to have an offer that will keep a lot of those people in enterprise. So I genuinely believe that the cruise ship levy would be crucial in terms of being able to fund that, and I would hope that politicians within this room will continue, like me, to use whatever influence they have to push the government to actually legislate on that. And I know, for example, that the Green Party have a commitment in their manifesto, Scottish Greens, to introduce a cruise ship levy, and obviously we've got a minority SNP administration in Holyrood, and hopefully the Green will use whatever influence they have as part of whatever negotiations they have to advance a cruise ship levy, because I think we could have a cruise ship levy in Inverclyde sooner than we'll have an overnight visitor levy.
Councillor Maguire, your comment down and then come back. So,
Yeah, I put it down after the accusation of cheating. Now, sometimes I put it up straight away as soon as an item's raised, because sometimes people online get taken in a bit later. So if I put it up early, if I know I'm definitely going to say something, it usually means that I do definitely get in almost in order. Councillor McCabe has covered some of what I was going to highlight, as is Councillor Reynolds. I was going to highlight places such as Porto have been showcased as a success case for introducing a tourist tax in their local area, and how it's transformed the infrastructure and allowed them to provide a good place for visitors and for their own people who live there. I do think that we do have limited scope for the visitor levy as it is currently, without including cruise ships. We've got a limited number of bed spaces, and that's even been more constrained by some of the schemes that we're part of within Inverclyde. I know that our officer Neil had said that this isn't about the cruise ship levy, but I don't think you can really take the two of these separately. I think that this is directly linked to, and he pointed out that there was a consultation done previously on the cruise ship levy that was done in early 2025, and the previous Scottish Government was meant to produce the analysis of that and the industry responses by early this year, and that's not happened. So what I wanted to do today was to call on Robert, our convener, to write to the Scottish Government about the cruise ship levy, to highlight to them once again that for us that is something that our area would benefit from having guidance on, that is something that we would like to see progress, and that, you know, as much as a visitor levy is good for other areas of the country, cruise ship levy would be better and possibly more appropriate for us, even if we had the option of the ability to discuss such a thing, which at the moment we're constrained by the way that we can raise money. So with the approval of committee, I would like to add a recommendation that our convener writes to Scottish Government asking for consideration around the cruise ship levy to be made continuously, and for the results of the consultation to be published at its earliest convenience, so that this isn't kicked into long grass. I do have one question just for Mr. McIlvany, and that's just around how often will we be updated at the committee. I know that you're saying that's a watching brief for us, and I suspect that will be the case for a while, but how often do we see this? Are we expecting to see an update on the visitor levy brought here to this committee?
So you're asking me to write to the Scottish Government Cabinet Secretary for what?
It would be, no, it would be for finance and local government.
Finance, local government.
Jenny O'Groth.
Right.
Yep. Because I am aware that our council leader does make representations on this at COSLA already, and I think this is the most appropriate committee of the council to bring forward such a letter. I'm happy for our leader to write as well, if that would please the committee.
Would that be to be granted the permission authority for us to implement a cruise ship tax unilaterally?
No, it wouldn't be for that. It would be to ask Scottish Government to make it a priority to explore the cruise ship levy and to provide guidance to local authorities on that in a continuous way, and to publish its consultation results. The results should be nearly synthesised based on the timeline the previous Scottish Government had.
Yeah, just to clarify, the consultation results were actually published in March. They should have been published the previous October, but they actually were not published in March. So I suppose what we would be asking for is them to now to progress legislation to implement cruise ship levy.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor McCabe, I had a look today and in the section of the website where it would usually have the consultation results, I couldn't see them. So if you could send me a link, because I'd be quite interested in seeing that. And apologies, I didn't know that they'd been published based on my looking at their website earlier today.
I just talked with the chief executive and the legal head is in order to right. Okay. Thank you for that, Natasha. Sorry, I know you're very patient. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Convener. Happy to support the recommendation. Just a question for Mr. Mark.
Hold on, Tommy. Neil, do you want to come back into that?
Yeah, and Councillor Maguire's point, just around a report back, obviously leader indicated for a 12-month cycle. I'm happy to report back within 1 year unless there's substantial changes in the meantime that warrant bringing a report faster than that.
Yep, happy with that. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Neil.
Sorry, Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, just a question for Mr. McElvanick. You know, I'm just wondering, you didn't mention short-term lets. Has there been any discussion being included in this scheme? Because if and when it does go ahead, then you may get the challenge back from hoteliers and etc. that it's not a level playing field. I just wonder if that's been discussed at all, Neil, or you could bring it up just to clarify. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks to you, Convener. My understanding is that the 178 reference in the report includes provision for short-term lets, which are chargeable under the levy. But as I say, the figures in the model are indicative at the moment, and we would firm those up if we were to move forward with the proposal.
No, it's good. Thanks for clarifying.
Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, thanks very much, Convener. Yeah, 3.6 talks about the engagement with businesses. I'm not aware of the legislation that was before, and obviously Mr. McElvanick will be. So can I just confirm that a full detailed consultation would be mandatory should we choose to bring this in?
Yes, Neil.
Thanks, through you, Convener. So the guidance that's linked in the report gives an outline of the procedure that you have to follow to implement, to full implementation of visitor levy. There are 2 stages of consultation within that. The pre-engagement stage, and what I've indicated is that the soft consultation or engagement that was undertaken to inform this report was effectively the informal stage. Should any authority wish to proceed to implement a visitor levy scheme, a full set out consultation would need to be carried out in line with the guidance.
So that guidance is mandatory. Yeah, that's what I understand.
Yep.
Neil, can I maybe get a bit of clarification from you here? You don't have any data on the caravan sites, but I understand that they're 2 completely different circumstances regarding Clough and the one Vale, because it's residential all year round, where the other one is not. Is that correct?
That matches my understanding. So there's two main caravan sites in Inverclyde, but one of them is residential, so wouldn't be eligible for the levy. So it would only be one. We don't have the detailed bed numbers for that to be able to factor into the equation, and that was why I was highlighting that members should assume a small uplift in the figures that are presented for that reason.
I think we just make that clear, anybody listening in. Right, thank you.
Convener, just before we move on, actually, thank you. It was really just to question the validity of the request to write to the Scottish Government regarding the cruise ship levy. When the paper that we have in front of us is the visitor levy update, should such a request not wait until such times as we have a cruise ship levy update, and then that question then be raised?
I know, but we have 2 separate subjects we agreed on that, but because we've had the discussion on the cruise ship with the Scottish Government previously, and they didn't implement the new Transport Government, just write them and say, are you going to implement the recommendations you've already spoke about? I think I know it's 2 separate things, but I think that's the reason we're going to write about the cruise ship, because it's been discussed at government level, and it just said, the issue, the interest to say we're going to go with it.
Yeah.
If I'm right,
it's just that what I was actually looking at is that
it's for officers to rule on the validity of the proposal and for members to vote on it if they want to put it to a vote. But I have to say, I'm extremely disappointed in Councillor Crowther for raising that particular issue. Who in this chamber, an elected member in this chamber, wouldn't want Inverclyde and the other 31 local authorities in Scotland to at least have the power to implement a cruise ship levy? And I have, as I mentioned earlier on, the MSP for Inverclyde, Stuart McMillan, a matter of weeks ago, was quoted in the Greenock Telegraph saying that he supported a cruise ship levy for Inverclyde. And we're going to have a pedantic discussion around whether we should actually use the offices of the convener of this committee with the support of the rest of the committee to actually back our MSP's call for a cruise ship levy. I'm really disappointed in Councillor Crowther for raising that particular issue.
Can I just say, maybe
Yes.
When do you help out here?
Thank you, convener. So I take the point that it's a separate point, but I think it's a separate but linked point, so it doesn't cause me any problems in terms of the validity of making that decision here today.
Okay, the reason behind it was quite simple, is that we could be setting a precedent whereby we introduce another subject, even if it's linked, we are introducing another subject and then being asked to vote on that particular subject when it's not on the paper that we'll have in front of us. That is the reason I asked that question. I just do not wish to set any precedent. I am quite, by the way, I am quite happy with the statement that was given. I really have nothing against it. It's just the principle behind it.
Convener, regularly at committees of this council and every other council, stuff comes out from left field and people take a view on this. Right? I would hope we don't need to divide over this, but if Councillor Crowther's not happy with including that in the agreed decisions of the committee, then he's got the opportunity to move that we don't agree it and put it to the vote. But I'd be disappointed if he chose to go down that route.
Well, it's not a case of actually putting it to the vote. It's a case of actually taking the advice from officers. If the officers agree that it is legitimate to go down that route, then I'm quite happy with it.
Okay, that's good.
Right. Yeah,
That's good.
They're quite happy. Right, well done, John. It's good to keep on the toes. Item 9 is air protection policy update, and Ms. Paul waiting patiently around.
Thank you, convener. This is the data protection policy update for approval. The policy sets out the council's approach to the appropriate processing of personal data. The policy was last updated in 2023. The changes in this most recent update are not substantive, and they're just intended to ensure that the policy is up to date and aligns with current practice. There's a summary of changes at Appendix 1, and the final version of the updated policy is at Appendix 2, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? No, give me a recommendation.
Ready?
Right, thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.